Hi, this is Deb Preachuk from Pain Free Posture, Minnesota, and today I'm going to bring you some shoulder warm-up, some stretch and correct exercises that I typically like to do to warm up for my own personal exercises. So I'm going to take you through them, and it's really important that when you're going through these, that if you feel like something isn't right in your joint, you really do need to check in with a corrective exercise specialist. Again, this is what I personally do for some of my warm-ups, but I would not work through what feels like a painful, in your joint kind of range of motion. Okay, let's get started. So to begin with today, I'm going to show you a pass-through and a figure 8, and we use a 5-foot PVC pipe to do that. So I've got mine prepared over here. You can pick these up at any hardware store, really quite cheap. You want to set up good standing posture, about 6 inches distance apart at the feet, knees aligned over the second and third toe. Now you don't need the full width here, but you do want much wider than the hips. You want to start with your shoulders slightly back and down, and you go through a range of motion to start warming up the shoulder joint. Now again, I've been doing this for quite some time, and my shoulder is quite mobile and it's prepared to do this. If you find that you're breaking in the wrist, you're breaking in the elbow joint, don't go through the range that is sort of a false one, like something like this, where you're breaking through it. Come to the range that you own, just oscillate through it and reverse back down. I suggest about 8 to 10 repetitions. From there, I'm going to go into what we call a figure 8. Now, as I'm coming through this, all of the rules that I just described to you also apply. So if you're doing a lot of braking, you're rotating your head and your neck, this is something that you would work towards, again, with your corrective exercise specialist. And I encourage you to do about 8 to 10 once your body is in a really good postural position, joint range of motion. So that's to first do to warm up. From there, I like to get in through the wrist and the shoulder joint. To do this, I place my PVC pipe in a straight up and down position. I'm going to start off with my right hand, which looks left in your viewfinder here. My thumb is down. I'm going to swing this around. Now I'll come around in a second and re-show you how to do this. And from here, you're going to swing it forward. Often you're not going to be able to reach right away, so just go ahead and come across. Now you want to flip your fingers underneath, turn the palm up. Reestablish a good postural position. Fingers are loose on this, what looks like your left arm. And I'm going to do some upward pressure. Now you want to make sure you're not flaring your ribs out, you're not into the lumbar spine, so you're corseted, but it's not aggressive. And you're just going to do a little bit of upward pressure through here, some nice diaphragmatic breaths. I'm going to suggest that you hold this for about 30 to 45 seconds, a little bit of trying to increase that range of motion. Okay? Now I'm going to demonstrate it from the back view just to give you a better idea of how to set that up. So here we go. I'm going to repeat the same arm, so the palm is facing away, the knuckles towards you. You're going to pull the shoulder blade down. You sweep it around, you come underneath, go ahead and kind of flip that forward and through, reestablish a good position, palm underneath, and then you're going to press that upward. Okay? Make sure that you repeat both arms, of course, and you could do that up to 2 times through. All right, now from there, I want to start opening up through this whole nerve chain and in through the wrist. Sometimes we get really rounded, internally rotated, causes a lot of problems. So this is a very important stretch / mobilization exercise. No more than 10 repetitions on this, please. So we're going to come into a nice 90-degree angle, and I'm going to turn my palm down. It's not unusual for people when they're doing this the first time to not get that palm flat down. So don't force your way through. And again, if it causes extreme discomfort, you're going to need to seek out a corrective exercise specialist. Once I've got that in place, I set up my good postural position. I want to open up my torso so I'm parallel with the wall that I'm facing. I'm going to take a breath in to prepare, and I'm going to start pushing away from the wall. This is a lean away, and then we're going to come back in. I'm simply going for a bit of a stretch through the 3 major nerve chains in through that elbow region. And sometimes when it gets a little gummed up, you can get a lot of referral pain up and through the neck and the shoulder. To add on to that, you can add a turn away from the midline and back down. Of course, your diaphragmatic breath is important. I would only suggest 10 reps on that maximum. I'd repeat it on both sides. Okay, so now from there, the exercises I'm going to show you I would typically do after I do my workout, sort of as an automatic reset button. I'm going to use the foam roller, so come on over. I've got it set up in its vertical plane. You're going to sit yourself down. Now each of these exercises I'm going to take you through, I would hold for approximately a minute, up to 2 minutes each. You're going to get yourself down, give your body just a chance to reset or recalibrate on the foam roller. Okay, so I would take a couple of minutes just to let that occur, diaphragmatic breathe, and turn the palms and just open in this very open chest, neutral spine position. Even as I'm sitting here, I can feel a muscle tension differential in my arms. So after the set amount of time, I'm going to rotate, sit on the pinky, and then from there I'm going to sweep out to about 180 degrees and turn my palms and hold. Now I'm not trying to straighten my elbows, but I'm certainly not collapsed down on the floor as I just demoed here. So it is an open arm position, and allow yourself to feel the differences all the way across the two limbs, through the elbow, through the wrist, and through the fingertips. From there, this what I'll call T formation. Now I'm going to rotate through the joint. So my thumbs are down, I'm going to sweep up, and I'm going to work towards what I'm going to call a Y position. And my hands again are in a passive state. I'm going to allow myself to notice differences. You might feel as you're holding this position that, maybe you'll feel some muscles kind of drop into place. I can notice there's something going on my left side right now. Be mindful of your diaphragmatic breath and also closing the ribs so you're not arching and pressing that rib cage open. So reposition every once in a while. After a set amount of time, let's go to a high, what I'll call I position. Okay, and again, you don't want to force your range of motion. From here, what I like to do is then bring my hands together, and this is a variation off of a Nagoski exercise, and I'm going to do what we call the pullovers. And I'd like to do anywhere from about 10 to 12 repetitions here. Just be mindful of the rib cage. You don't want to be, sort of popping open as I'm demoing here, but instead you're allowing your shoulder blades and the thoracic spine to go through their proper range of motion in more of a responsive way to the shoulder. After I've done 10 repetitions, I'm going to come back down to this start position. I'm going to open back up to that high, I'll call letter I. And now from here, I'm going to turn my palms and sweep down into what looks like a W. Now, in right this position here, I'm going to have to work on dropping my chin, closing my rib cage. Right now, my elbows are not touching the floor, so I'm not going to try and force them down. So I'm pretty close to the floor. I can maintain this without strain. But if you were feeling like you're starting to pop up like this, you could always put a couple of pads underneath it. As I'm here longer and longer, the muscles will start to release and I will start dropping down, but I'm not going to force that today. All right, so that's your W position. Now from here, what you can go into is to change this up into a brachial plexus stretch. Now again, my elbow's not coming quite down yet. I'm just going to let it hold here. The opposite arm, you're going to extend the fingertips away. And I'm going to turn now and look towards my bent elbow side. I suggest you only hold this for 30 to 45 seconds. Okay? If you are feeling like you cannot maintain this open elbow and open chest position on the bent elbow side, please place a pad underneath there. And again, do not work through what feels like a not okay joint range of motion. You would repeat that on the other side. Okay, 90 degrees. Tucking the fingertips under and turning to look. To finish off this entire sequence, we bring the arms back down, and I would take you through what looks like a nice snow angel. So I sweep on the fingertips, I rotate through the shoulder girdle, over onto the thumbs, all the way up, and sweep that all the way back down. I would suggest about 10 to 12 repetitions of this. And then to finish, all of that, once we're done, we're going to come up and we want to place the shoulders into the correct shoulder joint alignment for the rest of the day. And this is what I like to call the Macarena. So I'm going to demonstrate it twice. One from the front, one from the back. So the Macarena, really simple. You just place one hand behind your head, fingertip is nice and loose, and then the other. You're going to rotate open without flaring the rib cage. From here, you're going to drop the shoulder blades down towards the floor and slightly back towards the wall, and then you release the arms into a very neutral stance. I'm going to turn myself around and demonstrate that again for you. So we're going to place one hand lightly behind the head, fingertips are loose, and then the other. We slightly rotate open from the shoulder joint. We pull the shoulder blades down and away from the ears, and then we lower the arms down. And you're set up by practicing that with really good shoulder joint positioning after all of those examples of exercises. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, this is only for people that are in a pain-free state, and you can use this as a warm-up and then a cool down in between your activities that you're doing on a daily basis. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions, you know where to find me. Thanks for watching.